Consider for a moment the quest of Hercules, hero of ancient Greek mythology. Under a maddening spell by the hand of Hera, queen of the gods, the champion murdered his wife and children, and as penance was forced to complete 12 gargantuan labors. Hercules' second labor was to slay the Lernaean Hydra, a many-headed beast. With a damp towel over his mouth to protect from deadly fumes, Hercules fired flaming arrows into the creature's lair until it emerged. There, he engaged the creature in combat, slashing and cleaving at the Hydra's many heads. Imagine his amazement when for each head he severed, 2 more sprang up in the stump's place. Only through divine intervention, using a golden sword provided by the goddess Athena, was Hercules ever able to complete the labor. Consider the antifragility of the Hydra. For any other creature, losing one's head is a death sentence. But paradoxically, when faced with every lethal blow, the Hydra got stronger and more powerful. This brings me to the topic of my talk today. Lebanese-American essayist, statistical mathematician, and former derivatives trader Nassim Taleb coined the phrase antifragile in his so-named 2012 book and defined it as follows. Some things benefit from shocks. They thrive and grow when exposed to volatility, randomness, disorder, and stressors. They love risk and uncertainty. Being antifragile is more than being resilient. A resilient system is able to withstand shocks. An antifragile system actually gets stronger, more effective, and higher performing when exposed to setbacks and adversity. Nature is littered with antifragile systems. Wolff's Law describes how bones grow stronger when placed under an external load. Any bodybuilder will tell you that by lifting heavier weight, their muscles tear and grow bigger. All organisms on Earth are actually antifragile. The process of evolution strains organisms, rooting out the weak and perpetuating the characteristics of the strong to make a species more likely to survive in the future. Examples in business abound as well. Most startups begin fairly antifragile, with young companies exploring customer needs and stress testing consumer demand until finding product market fit. With scale, though, businesses often grow to dislike volatility, randomness, uncertainty, and inquiry. However, the most effective, mature organizations in this increasingly agitated global economy benefit from volatility and stress. A 2013 Harvard Business Review article by Brad Power points to the example of Toyota. In 2009 and 2010, the company suffered through the largest car recall in history, followed by a tsunami that ravaged its supply chains. For Toyota, quote, crises and major disruptions are not an abrupt departure from what anti-fragile organizations do continuously, solve problems. Rather than being controlled through rigid command structures, employees at all levels are trained every day to be quick problem solvers, end quote. Toyota's 2013 profits were more than 4 times earnings in 2010 and 3 times those in 2012. In an example which we all might be familiar with, recall that Blockbuster had grown confident in its market positioning and brick-and-mortar retail business model. It had actually become overconfident to the point that it allocated its resources towards operational improvement and so became fragile to a changing consumer environment. Netflix, on the other hand, was anti-fragile. Netflix similarly had a validated business model and product market fit, shipping DVDs through the post to their customers. They pursued this model vigorously, but at the same time, recognizing the rapidly increasing year-over-year speed of the internet, they began building a streaming capability, despite what was then low customer satisfaction scores with online streaming. When, over time, postage rates began increasing drastically, and internet speed came to the point that it could provide an uninterrupted, pleasant consumer experience, Netflix was already positioned to pivot and readjust to become the streaming juggernaut they are today. Blockbuster broke, but Netflix pivoted. Thus, I posit that anti-fragility is a principle all entrepreneurs should strive for, most especially as they scale. The following are 3 recommendations I offer to build anti-fragile organizations. First, use what Taleb calls the barbell strategy. In essence, embrace conservative and extremely risky endeavors at the same time. As an entrepreneur, when you find product market fit, pour resources into scaling that effort. But do not rest on your laurels. At the same time, devote at least some resources and time into considering how your product or technology could be used for other applications. In doing so, you will be prepared to pivot. Second, build an organization where as many people as possible have skin in the game. An environment where every captain goes down with every ship. In fragile organizations, individuals are able to incur risks that are borne by somebody else, say the co-founders or the enterprise. This is defined as the agency problem, in which a manager can take risks that he or she will not have to pay for. An employee in that case is antifragile, benefiting from the risk and potential upside while not having to bear the costs of the downside. But the organization itself actually becomes fragile, more vulnerable to the stressors. Equity compensation and organization-aligned performance incentives are a way around this agency problem and help build anti-fragile organizations. Finally, prioritize and leverage human adaptability. Creativity, decentralization, and dynamic problem solving are hallmarks of anti-fragile organizations. When faced with stressors, as in the case of Toyota, subordinate employees need to be empowered and resourced to respond. Bureaucratic organizations, which often chase efficiency over capacity, become fragile, unable to adapt in crises. When scaling an enterprise, to remain anti-fragile, founders will do well to grant autonomy to their subordinates and be comfortable with their failures, through which they will learn and the company will become more resilient and effective.